Let's see if everything is okay. Docker logs. Yes, it runs. Hello everybody. Today we are going to learn how to Dockerize or how to deploy a simple Python app or REST API on a container. All the steps that I'm going to show you in this video are written in this blog post, which means that you can follow along, copy and paste commands. I will also put this link in the description below. So let's get started. We have only two requirements, two prerequisites. The first, you need to install a Docker engine. I recommend you to install Docker Desktop because it will also give you command line interface access. The second requirement is that you should have Python version 3.7 or more installed on your operating system. Of course, if you want to test the REST API locally, which I'm just going to do. So I already created a simple REST API and put it in a GitHub repo. We just need to clone that GitHub repo. Let me open it. Let's copy the link from here. So git clone, paste the link, it will clone the repository. And if we go to that repo, you will see that we have only two files, main.py and requirements.txt. Let me just open it on Visual Studio. So I'm gonna use, code. This is the very simple main.py file that contains Python code to create a basic FastAPI application. For example, this function here specifies that if you go to the root of your application, it should say, "Welcome to BugX Academy." And then we have also this requirements file, which contains all the dependencies that are needed to create a FastAPI application. The two most important dependencies are FastAPI and UECorn. Anyway, I think we can test the REST API if it works or not. Let's go to terminal. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a virtual environment to install all the dependencies. So I will use Python 3.m. M means module, and we're going to use the VMV module. And then you can just put your environment name. So in this case, it will be .mv, but you can put whatever name you want. Press enter. Environment is created. Let's see that lsla. Yes, we have .env directory, and we are going to activate that environment. So I'm going to use source, then .env, and under that we have bin directory, and we have this binary file activate. So it is activated, and you can see here this small sign, or that's just the directory name. Since the virtual environment is activated, we are going to install all the requirements from this requirements.txt file. So I'm gonna use pip install r option and then just your file name requirements.txt, press enter. So it will install all the dependencies. And that's it, all the dependencies are installed. So what we're gonna do, we are going to start our server. So we're going to use the UDEMY, and then we have to put the main. Main is the, here we can see that our file name is main, so main is this one, and then main.app. And app basically is this one, so it is a written app, that's why we have to write app. And we need to use this UDEMY. It's a server gateway interface because we are using FastAPI. That's why we also need to use this UDEMY. And you can understand UDEMY as a asynchronous server gateway interface compatible web server. So it is just a web server actually, and it's the binding element that handles the web connection from the browser, or you can say API client, and then allows FastAPI to serve the actual request. Anyway, you don't need to understand what UDEMY is in a detailed way, of course, if you are not a developer. But yeah, that's enough, I think. So we can start our web server. So just press enter, and we are gonna see some logs. Yes, it started. Okay, the last one is says UDEMY running on this address. So, and port 8000. Let's copy this one. Basically, this is localhost, right? So instead of this IP, you can just write to localhost. Anyway, let's copy it. And let's go to our browser, paste the link, press enter. Great. It says welcome to BugX Academy. So all is good. We tested our application and it works. Now it is time to Dockerize or containerize the application. We should create a Docker image of the application, and to do that we need to have steps in the Docker file. But before that, let's see if we have any Docker image. Let me just press Ctrl C, clear the screen. I'm gonna use Docker image. If we have any image locally, it will show, but we don't have any image, so we're going to create one. And then let's see if we have any container running. We don't have any container running. Okay, that's all good. Now let's create the Docker file. I'm gonna go to VS Code, and here I will create a new file called Dockerfile. Press enter. As you see that it just recognizes it's a Docker file. First of all, we need to specify the base image that our image will be built from. So if you are creating custom image, then you will have some base image, of course. And since our application is a Python application, Python should be installed in the image. That's why I will choose the Python official image. Let's go to Docker Hub. I will show you one more thing. Docker Hub. And let's just search Python. So this is the Python official Docker image. And we have some tags. I'm gonna use 3.11. So simply it is the Python version actually. So let's use this Python Docker image. So I'm gonna use from. This is a directive from. So from which base image our image should be created. So I'm going to use from, then the image name. In this case, it is Python. Then just put the tag. So it is 3.11 in our case. And then we have to copy all the source code from our local operating system to the Docker container. So what we are going to do is we're going to use copy directive. Copy what we need to copy. We need to copy this main.py file first of all. So let's use main.py, and we are gonna copy it to the container directory. So I'm gonna use /app/. So this is our directory in the container. And last forward slash at the end of this app directory, this one, indicates that if the app directory doesn't exist, it will be created automatically. And we have also one more thing to copy, which is this requirements file. So let's just use it. We're going to use copy directive one more time. And we're going to write requirements.txt. We're going to copy this one to app directory as well. So you may wonder why we use two copy directive while we may use only one. The reason is in the future, you may want to change or improve this main.py file frequently. While requirements.txt file will not change very often because it's just a dependency. And since the Docker has catch-on feature, therefore Docker will detect this file, requirements.txt file, and use the cache for this step. That's why I just separated copying these two files. The next step is to install requirements.txt file. We are going to install all the dependencies as we did when we test the REST API locally. So what we're gonna do is we're going to use run directive. Basically, it's just a command. And what we need to run pip install arp and the requirements.txt file. So it's located under app directory. I also want to add some options to our pip command. So basically, pip has a catch-on feature. I'm gonna use no catch. So no cache stitch. Since Docker has already caching feature, we don't need a pip caching. Therefore, we have used no cache dir option. And then another option is upgrades. I'm gonna use this option to upgrade dependencies if they are already installed. So we're gonna use upgrade. So that's it. The next step, we have to change the directory to this app directory. In the container, of course, inside the container. So that's why I'm going to use work dir directive. So it will simply, it's the cd command, change directory command. So we're gonna say work directory app. And last step, of course, we need to start our web server. So we're going to use cmd directive. And cmd, basically, this is kind of same with run, but the last step should be called cmd. So I'm gonna use cmd. Then what we have done, we have UDEMY Courses when we start the web server locally, and then we have used main 2.app, right? So I'm gonna use main 2.app. So since we have this space between these two commands, in that case you need to separate them. We have to put them separately. So I'm gonna put a comma here and then another quote here. I will also add the host 0.0.0.0. Why I need to add that? Because I want our web server should be accessible from everywhere. So I'm gonna use host. So host. And then we have to put comma. From which host? From everywhere. That's fine. I use 0.0.0 anyway. So let's put another comma and we should specify the port. You can specify any port you want. Let's use port option and the port should be 80, which is simply HTTP port. And that's it, I believe. This is the simple Docker file. In the next step, we are going to build the image from this Docker file. So let's go to terminal. Let's check one more time. Docker images, we don't have any Docker image. So in order to build the Docker image, we are going to use Docker command, then build, then -t. -t is used to give the name to your image. So let's say that it will be my FastAPI app. Then you need to put 2 dots and you have to provide the tag. Which tag? As you see that we have Python official image and we have some simple tags here. And in the Docker file as well, we have used 3.11 tag. I'm gonna say that, let's say it is just version 0.5. So I use 0.1 tag. And then you need to provide the path of the Docker file. Since we are in the same directory, I'm gonna use dot. I think that's all. Let's press enter. It says Docker file cannot be empty. I think we didn't save it. Let's press Ctrl C or Command C. Let's do one more time. So it is building our app. Okay, I think I made a typo here, so it should be catch actually. Let's save the file. And let's Ctrl L. Let's run one more time. Let's say we don't have this upgrade option. How is that possible? Upgrade, I think I didn't make any typo. I think it happens due to this install. I'm going to switch the place of this one. Let's Ctrl X and let's put it here. Sorry, not here actually, but after pip. And let's run one more time. Okay, I think yeah, that was the mistake. Okay, seems all the steps are done. You can see here. So step 1, it will just pull this image, and step 2, it will copy main.py to app. Step 3, step 4, step 5. I think all is good here. So let's see if we have this image created. Docker image, not Docker image, but Docker images. Yes, we have this image repository, my FastAPI application, tag 0.1, image ID, created 50 seconds ago, size is around 1 gigabyte. Now I think it is time to run a container from this image. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Docker run. Then you should provide this D option. D is used to run container on a detached mode. So D means that detached, and otherwise it will keep the terminal. So that's why we use this D option. And then we have to provide the port. We already know that our application runs on port 80. As you see that we specified port 80 here. That's why you have to write this port. And this port 80 is the container port. You need to bind that port to any local host port in your operating system. For example, in this case, I want to bind it to port 80 in my local host. So I'm going to use port 80 as well. So that's the same. But you can use any port from your local host. Let's say 9000. It doesn't matter actually. But first let's use 80, then we can use 9000. I will show you. Anyway, after that you have to provide your image name. In this case it is my FastAPI app. And then of course you need to provide tag, because you can have a lot of tags. In this case we have only one tag. But if you change anything in your Docker file, and if you rebuild the image, then you can use, for example, tag 0.2. So anyway, let's just press enter. Since our container is running, let's see that Docker PS. Yes, we have this container and it is running. Right now we are not inside the container, but we can still check the logs of the container. So I'm gonna use Docker logs, and then you need to provide the container ID. Let's copy this one, paste it here. Great, it says, so basically our server just started and it is running on this address. So from everywhere, specified port 80. Let's just go to here, our browser, and I'm gonna use localhost. You can either specify the port as well, 80, but you don't need to do that because 80 is a HTTP port. So just press enter. Great, it works. You see, our message is here. Welcome to BugX Academy. So everything is all right. Now I will show you how you can use another port, another local port. So let me just go here, and I'm going to run another container. And this time we're gonna use 9000. Press enter. Now let's do Docker PS. So we have two containers, and the container that use 9000 is this one. So let's copy ID. Let's see if everything is okay. Docker logs. Yes, it runs. Just do not get confused here. You can say that why it uses port 80, but we just defined port 9000. This is the port that is used by the container, Docker container. This is not the local port. We just bind this port, this 9000 port, our local port. So if I go to the browser, I'm gonna use localhost 2. And then you have to provide the port. So it is 9000. Press enter. You see that it works. We got our message. So I think that's it, guys. So we learned how to Dockerize a simple REST API using Python and FastAPI. So by containerizing our application, We achieved benefits such as portability, consistency, and ease of deployment. Basically, Docker allows us to package our application and its dependencies into a lightweight and self-contained container, ensuring that it runs consistently across different environments. So that's all. Bye. I will see you in the next video.